Hey guys, it's Drexel here with Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. Donald Trump is officially the Republican nominee for president. We got a lot of international news, and producer and actress Denise Boutte joins us here in the studio. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, Political Culture.
Get that Rihanna in.
Yes.
Get that Kanye in. Hey guys, it's Drexel here with Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. Thanks for joining us today. We got a lot going on, especially with this song. But we're going to kick it off with some Twitter handles. You can follow me at Drexel Heard.
Hey guys, it's Elayna. You can follow me at Hey It's Lay on Twitter and Instagram.
What's going on, guys? You can follow me at Sorrells.
And I'm at Julian Dujarric everywhere.
Everywhere.
Give it up for our guest host, Julian. Today.
Hi. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. I missed you guys.
I know.
It has been a long time.
He got a chance to watch last week's show, so then he felt compelled to come back.
Of course, yeah. And
He said, I
especially
have to come back. He texted me right after. I was like, I got to come. I'm coming on next week. I'm coming on next week. And in our studio today, the very beautiful, very talented Miss Denise Boutte.
What's up? What's up? Thank you guys for having me. Yes.
If you've seen things like Why Did I Get Married, Tyler Perry's
My
Meet the
favorite.
Brown, Extreme Movie, she was wearing very little in that movie.
For the love of Rude.
Not too much. Not too much. There was a check associated with it, so what you gonna do?
That's all it was.
I'm enthralled in that video. Oh my
We
word.
were watching the Kanye West video.
The famous.
I
famous
never
video.
saw the video.
Yeah.
My
See, you never saw the video. I never heard the song.
I heard the song.
I only saw the
Well, we
pictures.
have the
I didn't know the visuals with
Oh yeah, we
the song.
had the picture of you got to see Donald Trump in his bad body.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my, his hair was actually better in the video, though. The hair was good in the video. Yeah.
Donald Trump's bad
You got
body.
to see all kinds of nipples and what did?
How did they do that? Did they like superimpose heads on?
It was wax
wax figures.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think it
they went
was
all
based
out for that
off.
one.
It was based off of some painting, some famous,
Yeah.
some
An
famous
artist.
painting of an artist.
That was
But
something.
we're gonna talk about Kanye and Kim and Taylor Swift a little bit later on, but we're gonna get right into what's been happening over the past week. So since we saw each other, Donald Trump has chose Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana, as his running mate.
Interesting.
The very polished, exciting
You're just at a loss for words.
Mike Pence,
Experience.
experienced.
Establishment.
Yes, which is what Donald Trump needed.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he needed
Yeah,
to win
seriously.
over other Republicans, but
Not the country.
not the country.
Exactly.
Not the
Thank you.
country.
Not
He's full of suspense.
So just to give you guys a little background on Mike Pence, he is a former congressman of Indiana. You guys might remember him when Indiana brought in the Religious Freedom Bill, and it allowed the state of Indiana to discriminate against people, LGBT, just in the workplace, and you can get fired. Not that that's not common around the country, but he really pushed for that. He actually wanted to use funds, his AIDS fund, to kind of fight AIDS, to help him fight the issue.
Yeah.
So needless to say, gays everywhere won't be voting for Mike Pence, I don't think.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Nor
Trump.
So with
They don't even look like they belong
Have
together.
any chemistry or
No
anything
they
chemistry.
whatsoever. Yeah.
met each other known each other prior to Trump trying to bring him on board.
Yeah.
They had no kind of relationship ever.
He went on the trail one time with Donald Trump. I don't think he was Donald Trump's first pick either. I think from what we heard, up until 11 o'clock the night before the announcement, Donald Trump was trying to get rid of Mike Pence.
Yeah, he didn't want him on.
Did not want him as a VP pick. I don't know that Chris Christie or Newt Gingrich would have been a better choice.
Oh, Chris was just sitting down in the audience.
And I know. And
Oh, that baby was sitting down, so mean mugged. It was hilarious.
My thing is, why would you even want a president and a vice president who don't get along? Like, who feud? And maybe not necessarily don't get along, but if it's the hour of and you're still contemplating on whether you want me to join board, I don't even know if we can have a healthy working relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you contemplating? What is it?
Yeah.
See, and then they had a 60 Minutes interview on Sunday. That was the first interview. First, they weren't even campaigning together. Donald Trump and Mike Pence. They weren't going out to campaign with each other. And then I guess somebody said, well, you have to do something. You got to do an interview. You got to do something. And one of the things that Donald Trump brought up in the interview was, I really only picked Mike Pence for party unity. Like that was it. Like nothing about his qualifications,
Exactly.
nothing about what he brings to the ticket. It really was all about this party unity. And he said it live during this interview. I wouldn't even know if it was live, but it was a taped interview, and I was like, oh.
Well,
this is
thank
what-
And it's like, what? And it's like, well, how does Mike feel now? Like, how do you work under someone? It's just like, I was small potatoes to you. I was
He
the
was-
last pick.
Not
you know?
small potatoes, B. Small potatoes? Who says that?
he was definitely smiling through that interview, but you know,
Bad decisions.
it
Yeah,
was.
All the way
exactly.
around.
Oh, exactly.
When you can't hire a decent script writer that's not going to plagiarize, I mean, that's bad decisions.
We're good. Jumping in.
We're good.
Bad decisions.
Jumping right in.
I'm just saying.
Some may argue, just to play the devil's advocate, because you know I love to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Some may argue that it is probably a good thing for Mike Pence to come onto the ticket because he is someone who has governmental experience. Just saying. Just
He is.
Yeah, just
I
putting
think
that
he's
out
a
there.
good. He if this was a normal election,
It would be a
Mike
good
Pence
decision.
would
And who's a
would
true
be
conservative.
would be a great pick for
Oh,
the
yeah, he's very
Republican.
I mean, even with his experience being in D.C., he worked in D.C. for what, 6 years?
Yeah.
So it's all great, but it's just for Trump and the position that he's in and all the controversy that's been around him. It's just not the likely choice to help boost him to become
Yeah.
ruler of the free world. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Who do you
Like,
think is a better alternative? Like, because I can't really think of anybody,
someone that would...
including Mike Pence. Like, I'm not sure who else, if anybody, could like unify the party.
What party?
The Republican
Let's
Party.
just X them out all to the...
What party?
Sorry.
I think that I watched Joni Ernst last night. We're gonna talk about the convention in a little bit, but I watched Joni Ernst last night. First of all, she's great. She embodies what the Republican Party is all about. Just this modern day Republican Party. However, Donald Trump made it perfectly clear months ago that he was not going to pick a woman or a minority of any case, because he didn't feel like, he thought it was pandering.
Right.
So he picks the whitest of the whites.
Are you saying that because of his hair?
Yes, that's what I meant. I meant the hair. I meant the hair. The whitest haired person that he could pick to be his running mate. So this is, I think that Mike Pence will bring everything that Donald Trump doesn't bring, because Donald Trump is basically a liberal for the most part, in most cases, up until last year. Mike Pence is against same-sex marriage. He is against. He's pro-life. He is like for he opposes comprehensive immigration reform. So he is everything the Republicans want in a candidate, if not president of the United States.
Which is why for the Republican Party, it was great so that he can try to unify the party.
Right.
That was great. That was a great decision.
But like we said, country-wise,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to help too much.
I just want to point out that Omarosa is now in charge of Black Outreach for
Right.
Donald Trump. So
Yes.
he is trying to bridge that gap, I guess, or reach out to the Black
Yes.
community. I'm just,
Didn't
Yes,
they
yes.
meet on Celebrity
I don't know how
Apprentice?
effective
They
that
did.
will
They
be.
did.
They did.
Not sure how effective that
How
will be,
can
but
she relate to me as a Black person?
I don't
Who's
know
Stacey
that
Dash?
because she was on. I don't.
Stacey Dash.
Stacey
Well,
Dash.
that's what I said. I mean, it's not Stacey Dash.
no,
Let's say
no.
thank you, Jesus, for
Did I say
that.
Stacey Dash?
Not let's say thank you, Jesus, for
Oh,
that.
okay.
Not because she was on Celebrity
Oh, okay.
Apprentice, just because that was
where they met initially, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was a way for. Like, that was the first time that I mean, I know that, she's well known in certain areas, but that was the first time that I was introduced to her, and I got a chance to see her personality and so forth. And then I got a chance to see how she interacted on Wendy Williams' show and, stuff like that. So just listening to the way that she speak and her perspective on events, I just don't know if she is that bridge to gap, African
The
American.
demographic
Right.
that they need.
Yeah, we're definitely not listening to Omarosa. That's she was an original contestant on the Apprentice. Yeah. Also in that interview, one of the things I want to bring up is you brought up how different Donald Trump and Mike Pence are, and how liberal minded kind of Donald Trump was, at least for the most part during the campaign. Mike Pence was pushing the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, where Donald Trump throughout the entire campaign was like against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But now in the interview, Donald Trump was like, I love free trade. I love trade. Trade is good.
From one
This
day
is in
to
the
the
interview.
next.
From one day
That's
to the
the
next.
issue.
Yeah,
From one
exactly.
day to the next, there's a contradiction
Right.
of which side he's
Where
on.
he stands,
It depends
yeah.
on what it is he needs to do in that moment, and that's you can't
That
do
swing, yeah.
The other thing that was brought up was the Iraq War vote. Mike Pence, as a congressman, voted for the Iraq War. Now, you can make the argument wherever side you stand on about the Iraq War, whether or not, especially in the Democratic primary with Hillary Clinton. I mean, that was one of the calling cards for the Bernie Sanders supporters. So, but Donald Trump was like, oh, well, the reporter asked him, so Mike Pence voted for the Iraq War, and he was like, oh, he can do it, as if Hillary Clinton couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what?
Well, that's just the biasness that he has, and we've seen that over and over again with him. He's always wish-washy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a pendulum.
It's always wish-washy, and really depending on who it is and who he's speaking to, it's okay. You can handle the war, but when it comes to Hillary, she can't handle. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what makes
Why
her?
all of a sudden she can't?
Because you don't like her? Like, is that the only reason that she can't handle it? So it's just pick a
side.
Not even pick a side. Stand firm in whatever it is that you believe.
Yeah.
And don't just keep going back and forth, because now I'm doubting you. Not that I don't doubt him, but
Politically, though, it works for him, and it is what his supporters, I guess, like about him, is that he stands for whatever position he stands for at the time. I don't see him changing that.
Because Hillary Clinton can get away with that all day, whatever position she
Right.
says.
What I'm saying is that tactic, that strategy has worked for him up until this point. So I don't really see him, or frankly recommend him changing it, because it seems to be working.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he isn't going to change it, but if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything.
Right, but that's a logical and
use that
reasoned
quote.
response. Exactly, but that's
She will say it's a quote and not say, I was my original.
Can you cite that, please?
I'm sorry, I wrote this speech on my own. From Elayna. That was an original
Speaking of the
quote.
original quote from Elayna.
Here's the thing, guys. I mean, and I'm sure you talked about this before. In the beginning, he was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's gotten too close
It was
for
a little,
comfort.
it was a
It's
little
not
polluted.
funny anymore.
It was a little polluted.
But
that
in
air.
the beginning, it was a
Couldn't
little
breathe.
polluted. But what it was is that it made the Republican Party wake up and realize that the same political BS was not gonna. We were aware. The public is aware. We're over it. Stop telling us what you think we want to hear, and tell us the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, if we knew the whole truth and nothing but the truth, I'm sure we would never leave our houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's
But
right.
the American public and the American people are just tired of the stagnancy of Washington.
Yeah.
If you're Republican, well, I can't vote for you because my party didn't bring it up. If I'm Democrat, we gotta work together.
Right.
Exactly.
And again, he was real, he was raw, and he was the most non-political politician that was out there. Now, it's scary.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, because this dude could really be the leader of the free world.
Exactly.
Now it's not funny no more.
Yeah, now exactly.
This got real.
See, I think the other problem with Donald Trump, it just goes back to what you're saying, is that
That I ran to these hot.
we're gonna need you to really say
Right.
how you feel, please stop holding back.
is that truth? Is that Donald Trump never for everything that he said, there was very little truth to a lot of things that he said.
Yes.
Yep.
So he might have been out there telling people what they are thinking on their mind or
get 'em
whatever
hyped.
to get them hype.
Okay.
But that didn't mean he was actually telling any truth. There was any truth to anything that he was saying. So
Right.
I think that's the difference. Like, Donald Trump's out there telling his truth. That's a
He was
little bit
rallying
debatable.
people up more.
was
If
rallying.
any, he was
Yeah.
just like, all right, come on, get hype.
Yeah, I mean,
next?
there's a
Whatever
difference.
he needed to say to get him hyped.
And there's a difference between Donald Trump truth and Bernie Sanders truth. That's the difference. So, like, to say that, obviously, I have my opinions on Bernie Sanders, but I also understood that he was out there saying things that were factually based
When you say
in what he
he.
was saying.
Well,
It wasn't Bernie
speaking of
Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
I'm saying Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was out there saying things that people wanted to hear or needed to hear, and B, that was
Could
based
be
in fact.
proven.
With the exception
Yeah.
of the
Right.
difference between democratic socialism and socialism, which doesn't exist.
Right.
Oh, wait, can I not say
Preach,
that?
brother, preach.
My bad.
Preach, brother, preach.
So, I mean, I don't think it's truthful across the board with Bernie Sanders either.
Well, no, I'm
no,
saying,
it's true.
you definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a different kind of lie. I think it's a better packaged lie.
Right.
Not completely, because there were still things that we talked about on the show
yeah, for
several
sure.
times when it comes to Bernie, just about
A plan of action. There was no.
just being talk and
Yeah.
not being action.
Exactly.
So,
Right. Exactly.
So we covered that a lot, but I think in comparison to Donald Trump,
It's definitely
it's
more of
way
a
It's not even comparable.
Right.
I just want to give a shout out to a couple of folks that are always in our chat room, Devin George and Vanessa Jackson, who are always leaving us a little message. I know Devin's in the chat room right now talking to us. So, moving on to what's been happening over the past couple of days, the Republicans kicked off their convention yesterday, the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, Ohio.
Say it again, just like that.
So today, I'm gonna start with today, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about yesterday. So today was the roll call vote, the official floor vote. Yesterday, I didn't think that 2 delegations were gonna come back because Iowa and Colorado walked off the floor yesterday during a rules vote. And didn't think they were going to come back. So today everybody came back, and New York, the state of New York, pushed the state of New York with his son as a delegate.
Made the formal
pushed Donald Trump over the 1,000 whatever threshold that he needed to become the nominee. So Donald Trump is officially the Republican nominee for president.
As of today.
As of today,
officially.
I don't know what's going to happen next week.
Loophole.
Right.
Exactly.
Republicans might have a change of heart. Something might, I don't know.
Well, they tried to change the rules yesterday to kind of, undermine his nomination. So they're still trying.
We talked about it last week. The Rules Committee met on Friday. They pushed through like 87-12 that they were going to change the floor rules to fit this Stop Trump movement. And then yesterday, a few factions tried to force a vote on the floor to change the rules to unbind the delegates.
I think that's what made it scary, though. Like,
that's what made it exciting.
Well, exciting if you're not a part of the party, but we talk about, I mean, as much as I may bash or, may talk about the Republican Party, we always talk about having that healthy relationship.
Oh, yeah, balance, for sure.
It's so within the party, it was actually, as exciting as it was, because we knew it was going to be a comedy show, it was disappointing because it was so much chaos on the floor. Like, it was so much fighting. And it's like...
Testers.
Right. And it's like, you guys are going against each other. Why you need to even go against the Democratic Party? Like, because y'all have your own fight.
You could have another whole party.
You know what I mean? So it was just disappointing. I rather it just be a strong fight, like a strong Republican candidate against a strong Democratic candidate, and better.
We just haven't had that, and I talk about that all the time with people. Is we have never in the past decade or so, we have not had a strong, there's always been a weaker candidate. Mitt Romney was much weaker than Barack Obama. John McCain was much weaker than Barack Obama. John Kerry was a lot weaker than George Bush. So, and then there was Gore and Bush.
Gore,
So that was a stronger. That was a stronger.
That was a bit of a fight.
Gore, so we've just never seen that, at least in the last decade or so, that there's been a strong candidate. And in this case, Hillary Clinton heavily outweighs Donald Trump. So we're just never going to get to that, like a strong Republican candidate, which is why I think Mike Pence is obviously a fine choice.
If the party goes back and regroups, yes.
Yeah.
If the party goes back and regroups and comes back stronger, you know what I'm saying? It can.
Yeah.
And you want a good fight. You want a good balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to landslide it off.
Exactly.
And historically, the Republican Party and just both parties have had strong primary candidates, and as you just mentioned, sometimes the Republicans have a weaker general election candidate, sometimes they have a stronger one, and vice versa for the Democrats. So I agree with you. I think out of all of the people that have been running, it's in at least my memory of politics. I haven't been on this planet very long, but there have been, in my opinion, I think viable candidates in the primaries on both sides.
Haven't made it to
actually.
So,
but you want them to be somewhat equally yoked. You want checks and balances.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Totally,
saying? So that's a good fight.
And that goes back
here,
to
my God.
That goes back to what you said about just Republicans and Democrats infighting. Had this, hypothetically speaking, had John Kasich been the nominee, there would have been a lot of Democrats who would have probably voted for John Kasich.
Absolutely.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there are going to be a lot of Republicans, even if it was John Kasich, voting for Hillary Clinton.
Right.
So I think there would have just been a little bit of a. It would have been a little bit easier. It would have been a lot harder of a fight coming November had this been a different nominee. Last night, though, the theme last night was "Make America Safe Again." First of all, I don't know if anybody watched it. Did anybody watch last night?
I did.
It was a snooze fest last night.
Yeah.
Scott Baio was amazing.
I thought Rudy Giuliani was amazing, and Scott Baio. I thought all the speeches were great. I don't know what kind of snooze fest you're talking about. I was very entertained.
Hold on. First of all, the colors.
Drexel's face at Denise was priceless.
I was looking around.
Can we do a meme?
I was-
Can we do a meme for that?
Yeah, I was looking for the
When
camera.
your guest says
Did you not? Were you not entertained by all of that last night?
First
knew
of
it was
all,
gonna be very
first of all,
entertaining.
I was really surprised. I actually tweeted at Donald Trump last night. I said, "This cannot be the convention that you wanted," because, and I say that as I'm like, I really wanted some excitement out of this.
Yeah.
They had these.
smoke machine.
They had this
very
smoke-
excited
right.
when he came out to introduce. You weren't excited.
I wasn't
for
I
the
thought it was at a
slow walk.
Beyonce concert.
I wasn't for his slow walk out. Exactly.
That was the most Beyonce thing that he did because
He did.
Beyonce's concert, her tour has this big thing. She's
she
in front of
comes
this
out,
thing. She
yeah.
I
comes
just
out.
needed cornrows. It was
That's it. That would have been
We
official.
just needed.
I would've passed out.
Omarosa.
That would've been
But so
amazing.
make America
Omarosa.
safe again. Last night, Scott Baio, Antonio Sabato Jr., Rudy Giuliani, Tom Cotton, Senator Tom Cotton, Joni Ernst, and a lot of Benghazi service members and families whose family members were killed in the attacks on Benghazi. First of all, it was a snooze fest, not because of the speeches were terrible, but the color. Okay, I'm just going to go off of one thing. The colors were muted.
Yeah.
Like it was this silver gray, like the end of the
looks
world
silver.
is near.
Yeah.
It looks like I said last night to somebody, I said Colbert hit it on the nail on the head when he made it
was
a part of
hilarious.
when he made it the Hunger Games because it looked like the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like-
It had the
Can you
silver.
clarify what that
I
was?
said
Because that was
Colbert
hilarious.
is back. That was awesome.
Can you clarify that? Because
Steve Colbert did this. What was it? It was the Hunger Games. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just remember him looking like Caesar.
He had some
what's
kind of
his name?
theme going on.
Yeah. So
he basically crashed it.
he did. He crashed it,
Yeah.
and they pulled him off of the Hungry for Power Games. That was
Yeah.
the name of the.
Yeah.
That was the name of his thing.
Our engineers are so great.
So last night, Joni Ernst was fine. Tom Cotton was fine, in my opinion. Scott Baio was up for all the hype around Scott Baio for like the week. Like, oh my God, Scott Baio, we're going to Donald Trump picked him, selected him. He talked for 10 minutes.
Charles was not in
Charles was not in charge of
at
that
all.
speech. He was not in charge of that speech last night.
No, he wasn't.
And neither was Melania, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Antonio Sabato Jr. got up there last night and basically called. We're pulling up a picture or something of Steve
That's
Colbert
awesome.
last night.
Steve was back last night. That
He was very good.
Honestly, he looks like he's going to some kind of Comic-Con.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what it was. It was based on the
It
Hunger
really
Games
was.
character.
Yeah.
Oh, he meant to look ridiculous.
Antonio
It was.
Sabato Jr. got up there last night and basically called the president a Muslim, like in front of national television. Because
Yes.
I don't know what is he? Is he got a reality television show coming up? Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Does anybody know? Because he
on the
came out of
promo
nowhere.
trail.
I don't know, but he's really nice to look at.
Yeah, I mean,
He's gorgeous.
He's great.
He's gorgeous.
But
Like, I don't need to
You know what
listen to
made
what
me
he
the
has to
first night
say.
was
I
the
just,
night of the pretty people.
Right.
Melania.
I don't really
Right.
need to
Melania
listen to
went
what he has to
to,
say. Like, I don't really
he had
care
a
about
really
his
nice
speech.
fitted suit
Maybe
last
that's what it was.
night.
They wanted you to look at the beauty.
That's all I need.
Forget the facts.
I don't need to know policy.
Oh my
just
goodness.
Oh my God.
Beauty.
That's
That was what they were
I really-
going for.
I just
I
wanna-
got it. We got bamboozled and hooked with
I
it.
just want
We
to.
got bamboozled.
There it is.
I just want.
Forget the facts. Look at the pretty.
Yeah,
There were a
That's
couple
all we wanted a president is a hot president.
Well,
That's all I want.
You trying to say Obama wasn't hot?
I'm not saying that at all.
Obama was handsome.
But he's on his way out.
He's a very attractive man. So there were a couple of sad points last night. There was this mother whose son was a technician in the embassy whose son died, and thank you, and whose son died, and she got up there. She was a little unhinged. It was very sad, and she was a little unhinged. And I felt a little bad for her,
Yeah, it was a pretty poignant speech. That lady. It was. I mean, regardless of how you feel
it was
about what
great.
she was,
It was great. It just at the end, it just kind of.
It was pretty disjointed. Yeah, of course.
The tears, once the camera cut to her and she was like crying,
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah, I mean, it was a touching speech, and then it was like nobody prepped her for the end.
Yeah.
And then she kind of got the audience engaged, and then they just kind of let it go on, and it was a little bit sad last night. So tonight is Make America Work Again. So this is the night where all the career politicians will come out: Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Ben Carson will talk later, Chris Christie will talk, and Representative McCarthy. They will all make their pitch for Donald Trump tonight. Last night was weird because like nobody mentioned Donald Trump though. Like even Melania for her speech last night didn't really talk about Donald Trump all that much.
She said,
No
well,
anecdotes.
Donald.
Yeah, she said Donald.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird. It was a little odd
Very
last
weird.
night.
I will just say that the mayor was scary.
Rudy
For a
Giuliani.
man, I mean, for a man that was he was a leader when he had to be. I remember I was in advertising and I saw that second plane hit, and I mean, it was terror.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For a man that stood for so much or whatever in a time when we were our scaredest, he was last night. He was the most divisive thing I've ever seen.
Right. Yeah.
Just the tone and the anger, and I was like, "Make America fearful again."
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it
That
felt
was
like.
the
There
thing
was
last night.
no
Yeah.
unity. It's like he was as if he was fussing and reeling, and it just felt so off kilter. It was very unnerving.
We'll talk about Melania at some point. Tomorrow night is going to be Make America First again with Scott Walker, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Eric Trump, Newt Gingrich, and Mike Pence. And then on Thursday night, we'll see Donald Trump's big headline speech. I think he's going to talk tonight at some point, but so that will be very interesting. A lot of international news happened last week. There was a terror attack in Nice that killed 85 people, with 300 people injured, with a truck, like a 19-ton
like a monstrous truck, yeah.
during Bastille Day, taking over literally that whole city. It was incredible. And then at the same time, Turkey was going through a coup. The military tried to take over the government last week and failed.
Oh yeah.
They actually shut down all of the all the social media.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Military shut down the social media. The president of Turkey went on FaceTime to address the nation to try to calm everybody down and say, no, the government's got this and the military can't take over. So obviously they did not succeed. But a lot of people are saying that the government planned that and made all that happen so that it was like a conspiracy thing happening.
I had a friend actually, Kadir, who is not watching. I don't know why I mentioned his name. But because it's
What's up, Kadir?
Hi, Kadir.
Hashtag Kadir.
I was chatting with him I was just chatting with him to figure out what was happening because I had heard that this happened, and he was kind of laying out how bad it was, and he basically was talking about how he was seeing some pretty violent stuff go down, and basically asking for prayers, but he's okay. Everything's all good now. But yeah, it was pretty scary.
Yeah. Then last week we also had another shooting in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is where you are from, Denise.
Not from Baton Rouge.
Not Baton Rouge, but from
a
Louisiana.
town about 45 minutes west of Baton Rouge. But I went to LSU. Go Tigers.
Go GEAU Tigers. Go GEAU Tigers. A lot of friends from LSU.
Phonetic, baby.
3 officers killed.
Yeah.
Shot. Had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter, even though people tried to make it about it.
Oh my gosh.
How do you guys feel about that? Where are we? What is happening?
I'm more so. I want your opinion because we kind of went in depth on it last week,
Right.
and then we turn around and this shooting happened, and then they try to pin it on the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
My 2 cents is that I think that the racism has been suppressed. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I think we have some things in our world, and I'm not going to blame everything on Trump, that are igniting the hate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think whenever you keep something or whatever so suppressed for so long, all you need is a trigger.
Exactly.
And once you get that trigger or whatever, that hate to me just comes spewing out. And I think that's what's happening. And also, I don't think that the police brutality on the public is necessarily different. I think the only thing that's changed is that there's cameras now.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
I think there's cameras now, and I think that they're getting caught on tape. And I read this amazing story about this, these group of policemen from Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
Who had a barbecue.
Yeah.
They had a barbecue with the folks in the neighborhood to sit down and have an open dialogue about what it is they need from their community to get some sort of a reference and to understand who it is that's in their community, what do they need from the policemen, and they could also familiarize themselves with the people in their community. Like, for instance, the guy that was, selling CDs or whatever, if the cop had some sort of dialogue or some sort of awareness, he may have known that this guy was always on the street corner and doing this sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Right now, there's a disconnect. There's no personalization. And so maybe just as simple as having these dialogues or whatever in these smaller communities to give trust on both ends. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, what has not happened in years. And now, I commend the people like the Game, and the Snoops that are having these conversations and opening up these dialogues. But I think that what's kind of missing right now is that we need a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a leader.
Yeah.
We need somebody that's going to be able to go to Washington and have this dialogue and go to each of these, regions or states or whatever, have regional representatives and have something, you know what I'm saying, something tangible. Because having all these conversations is great, but if we don't have anything tangible that comes out of those conversations, what's the purpose?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it'll be here today and gone tomorrow. As soon as it's not a sensationalized topic, then it's going to be gone and we're going to be right back to where we started.
Yep.
So, I just think that everybody's trying to do their part, but now we have to do it maybe in a more organized fashion. That's why I'll give Donald 2 cents or whatever that he did appoint someone who's in charge of, quote, race relations. I think we need more of that.
Right.
And somebody to be our new Dr. Martin Luther King, to be our new Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, whatever it is for this new generation. We don't have that yet.
So
and I think that's a necessity.
You've obviously been around the block in the movie scene and the television scene, and obviously we've seen Jesse Williams over the past few weeks.
Yep.
What is the celebrity? What is the responsibility of a celebrity? Because anybody can tweet all day. I see Jesse Williams
And
tweet
you see,
all
that's the whole
day.
point. Yeah, but Jesse actually took it to, a platform or a national platform and said what he had to say. A lot of us are, and just generally speaking, we're tweeting. We're putting something out there. But again, when are the tangible, changes going to happen?
Yeah.
When is the dialogue going to happen with the people that in law enforcement or in Washington that can put some parameters around it to not only keep the public safe, but also keep these cops safe?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And why are we getting guns and machine guns into the hands of people? I mean, it's just ridiculous, okay? And there has to be laws in place to make those things much more difficult. And again, I can get on my soapbox all day long, and we all have an opinion and a very strong one at that, but people are scared.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think people are tired of marching. People are tired of hashtagging. And it's time that there is a leader and someone to actually start making some changes happen.
I think identifying that, I agree with that. I think also identifying and the real purpose of police. Like, what is the role of police in communities? Because we see that police, by and large, now are pretty militarized, right?
And they're scared too.
And they're scared too.
They're scared too. I'd be scared.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
listen, we have to give credit for what they do every single day. Like they go out into very dangerous. Yeah, exactly. They go out into very dangerous situations every day and put their lives on the line to protect and serve. And by and large, I would say that the majority of police, are just trying to do their jobs and go home.
There's more good cops than bad.
Yeah.
I think there's more good cops.
Some may argue that they're a part of a system that, and so they're culpable in that way. But everybody's just trying to make a buck, right?
Yeah.
And go home.
And Denise, she made a really good point as far as community policing. I think that's a really big issue that needs to happen, because what it is that there's police officers who don't know these neighborhoods. They're going there, and not saying all of them, but most of them are terrorizing them, and they get to go home. They draw to their neighborhood where it's safe. And so people like the officer from, was that Arkansas?
Tommy Norman?
Yeah, he's doing a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
Really, and really getting out to the community and really understanding that in a case where Alton Sterling, where that's just Alton down the street. He always sells
Exactly.
CDs
That's just Alton. Exactly. That's my point.
Who's this man?
Hey,
We're
what
shooting
can't
him.
be resolved over a rib and some coleslaw, guys?
Yeah.
And honestly,
Maybe we just have international barbecue. We bring everybody to the picnic
But see,
table.
one of the things, and it goes back to the idea of leadership in general. We're sitting here talking about ideas that can be implemented from the mayor, from mayors across the country, from police chiefs across the country. This isn't hard. This isn't a difficult thing.
No.
Yeah.
Police chiefs can easily say, "I'm going to reorganize my department."
But there needs to be a point person.
Right.
And actually have the officers live there too. Because I know back in the day, officers were like actually living in the neighborhood. You could knock
They
on the
knew
door
their
like, that's
neighborhood.
the sheriff. Right.
They knew their neighborhood.
They don't
But
know how
now
to do
it's
that
like
anymore.
there's a line drawn in the sand,
Exactly.
and you don't cross that line, and it's like, ooh, the police.
I was gonna say,
You know,
I think
it's-
the fact that we aren't familiar with each other as far as
Absolutely.
the police and us, and I think that even outside of the police and us as a nation, just if we're opposite, then it's almost like I can't understand what you're going through, what you're experiencing. There's like no kind of sympathy. Like you don't have to empathize, fine, but there should be some kind of sympathy for anything.
Humanity.
So because we have a difference doesn't mean that I need to disconnect myself from you. I can, I can open my mind, I can gain some knowledge, and now I would know how to address you. Now I would know how to handle you.
That goes back to the whole politics of it all. The Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, let's come to the table and figure this thing out. Black, white, yellow, whatever, blue. We all have commonalities. Let's come to the table and figure this thing out.
But that's also assuming. I mean, that's also assuming that everybody's on the same page in terms of knowledge.
Well, you're not going to be on the same page. That's the whole point.
Let me just disagree.
Let me just clarify what I mean by that. Assuming that from a structural standpoint, like that cops know the law, that civilians know the law, and that's what I mean by the same.
You're just saying, like, knowing your research and knowing
intellectually speaking, we all have to know what is the role of police and what they can't, like what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. So that then we can have the conversation of how do we bring those communities and those police departments together. I think before we have any conversation, we need to really identify the role of police.
Absolutely.
So that way we can easily identify when they're overreaching and when they need to, step up and protect the communities that, in certain police departments they have decided to kind of abandon. So
I agree with you to an extent. I do think that the role of police officers needs to be more clear. However, I feel like for the most part, we kind of know when excessive force is being used.
For sure.
We kind of know when they are violating our rights, or and even with that captured on film,
they're still getting off.
For past events, they're not being punished
because they're protected. Because they're protected
with general language, and that's what I'm saying. We need to make sure that is clear in very specific language, because otherwise, all of it can fall. All brutality can fall under the legal umbrella, right?
Yeah, and what you're seeing is and what Denise brought up earlier is that it's almost like a soda bottle. Who once that soda bottle is shaken, who do you blame? The bottle for exploding or the person who shook it?
Ignited
And that's what you're seeing with people around the country who are just angry and they're doing things that's not really of their character, killing off police who are just going to do their job because it's a miscommunication. And I don't feel that it's right.
And it's frustration.
It's frustration. And black people can't even make it to their court date because, like we said before, they're getting killed for just a routine traffic stop for having their light out.
And these tickets have interest and fees, and you can't.
And you got mothers that are telling their kids no abrupt movements when you get stopped. I mean, seriously. I mean, I was told that. I mean, shoot, Louisiana. We from the South.
That's what I said.
And you know that whenever don't shoot. No. Your parents teach you to not make abrupt movements when you are at a traffic stop.
And honestly, it's getting to a point where your parents don't even have to tell you. My little brother is 13 years old. He's turning 14, and I called him and I was like, how are you feeling about? Because as a young black male, I want to be active in his life. So I was like, how do you feel about what's going on? And except, I was just trying to get in his mind. And he was just like, he said, honestly, he was giving me everything that I wanted to give to him. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I know for a fact that you didn't have this conversation with any other adult in the family. So
these kids are talking. So kids are talking. Yeah. As a young black male, you have to have that conversation.
You do.
And it's sad, but it's true. Yeah. It's just reality.
Hopefully a lot of, over the next few weeks, things will calm down a little bit.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Pray.
So that some real dialogues of change can actually occur.
Maybe this was the tip. Maybe.
Right.
We'll see what happens. And I know you got a couple questions.
Well, I'm going to keep it short. First, I just want to... I want to know if you have any recent or current projects that are coming up that our fans can tune into and that everyone who's watching can check you out.
All right. No, on the Hollywood side.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's
Hollywood.
Well, it's pitch season, so I've actually been pitching my own projects.
Yay!
New comedies. Tyler always taught me to go ahead and create my own features.
That's right.
So that's what I'm in the midst of doing right now. But I've got a few films. I got one called The Bounce Back with Shamar Moore.
Yes.
That's on deck.
We'll visit you on that.
Yes. I got another one called The Choir Director, and this girl makes Trina look like a saint. And And then we're doing the film festival circuit with another one called Secrets. And as of August 1st, there's going to be a really big announcement with TV1. I can't say anything because I've been sworn to secrecy.
Oh my goodness! So stay tuned.
But maybe
TV1.
I just need to come back.
Yo!
Because after August
That's
1st, there'll be a huge announcement. I'm very excited.
So August 2nd, we have a show. So that means you can come back on August 2nd.
There you go, baby. And hopefully the conversation, politically speaking, is much more exciting. It's not so.
No, so draft.
We're not singing Negro spirituals.
Right. We're
Right.
talking about Donald Trump all day.
Well, to lighten the mood a little bit, since we have been in that
Yes.
Yeah, it's heavy right now.
a lot of people are very familiar with your character on Why Did I Get Married?
Wow. Yeah.
And in that film, you played the friend / mistress.
Yeah.
How was it getting into character for that? Like, how did you have to get, how was it just portraying,
A thought?
basically, ruining someone's marriage?
Well, I know a lot of thoughts, and
Interview.
you drew from that inspiration.
Yes, come on.
I just found out what that meant. I was like, ooh, that stinks. But you know what it is? It was fun. I mean, mind you, I was here in this town for maybe a year and a half before that actually happened. So I was just enamored by all the amazing folks on set. I mean, God, Janet Jackson, for God's sake,
Yeah.
Jill Scott, all these
Amazing.
people whose work I admired when I was, in the backwoods of Louisiana, never even dreaming of coming to Hollywood.
Right.
And now I'm working alongside them. So it was just a fascinating experience. So I don't care. I could have been the side piece on the plane. I was just so happy to just be a part of something like that. And I mean, it is, to this day, I think one of Tyler's highest grossing movies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it was just an honor. And again, every actress has to have a niche.
Mm-hmm.
And the side chick obviously is my niche. And as I told you earlier, as long as the checks roll in, my husband you go ahead on, you be the
You
best
do it.
side piece
That's a good husband.
that you can be, baby. You know what I'm saying? There you go. And I like to cook, so that helps with it all. You just feed a man a good meal and he'll forget all that.
Hey, babe, did you know I was playing a side piece?
You want a biscuit with me? That's it. And it's okay. That's how I keep a happy home. Yes.
Well, we are.
It's fun.
We're very excited to see what's coming up, and hopefully
Yes.
you will join us back here
And to
in a
have
couple
you
of weeks.
back.
Thank you.
Yes.
You
I
were
would
just
love
so
to come back.
delightful.
Because
I'd
you
love to-
heard it here first. She's got something coming up
Something big.
on August 1st on
August
TV1.
1st. Yes.
Be real quick. What you got on
Yes,
trending
I'm speeding
topics?
through this trending topic. So, of course, we knew earlier that Omarosa was appointed the director of African American outreach. We know her from the first Seed Never Printed. So we'll see what Trump has up his sleeve with her and the type of work that she'll be doing when she takes office with that. And if you've been under a rock, of course, we know the Taylor Swift and Kanye beef that's been going on Twitter.
Bad blood.
She can't sue them.
Bad blood indeed.
Yeah. And so, but to make it short is that, Taylor Swift didn't know that Kanye West was releasing certain lyrics from So She Says about, basically saying that he's in charge of her success, that he made her popular. And, of course, Kim Kardashian wasn't having that, so Kim came out and was
That is stand by your man
stand
number
by
one.
the receipts. And, she dropped that video and had her
Honey.
on. And, for every politician,
something.
everybody was talking about this, like Taylor is just,
Twitter
she's just
blew
a lying.
up.
There might be some
gosh.
legal ramifications because of that.
There
Because
won't be though,
There won't
because
be,
she
right?
was
No?
on speakerphone and she was aware
second
that there
party.
were other people in the room.
Was she?
They
Okay.
said in California
think
there's
that's
a loophole.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at,
Aware
yeah.
that there are other people listening on via speaker.
But in Tennessee, where she's from, where she has property, California and Tennessee have the same
Right.
laws on the books regarding that, but I think New York doesn't. So depending on where
where
the
she
people,
was in
where
the middle.
it falls under that
The
jurisdiction.
plot thickens.
I
Yes.
know, right? That's a lot
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see in the coming weeks, but they've been dragging her on Twitter these last couple of days. And then lastly, the Pokemon movement. Okay, I don't know if y'all been hearing about this, but this
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon is getting out of control. Like CNN dropped that these kids are actually getting hurt by playing this video
Yeah.
game. They had to literally release saying, please don't drive and play Pokemon. Please don't pay attention
driving?
Literally, a girl got hit by a car. Like last week, crossing the street, not looking and looking at playing Pokemon and seeing it blamed it on the game. So I'm like, it's getting out of ridiculous.
He's been trampling on graves.
Yeah,
They've been fighting him on
literally
graves.
fighting
They've
over
been going
this.
to grave sites to catch the Pokemon.
I'm telling you. So that's what's going on. The trending topics. Please don't play Pokemon, guys.
It's on my phone. I gotta delete it.
Unless you want all of your Google information also to be registered.
Always. Well, thank you, Denise, for coming out. We'll so hopefully see you in a couple of weeks. Of course, Julian, thank you for coming and joining us again. In just a couple hours, like I said, the Republican National Convention is happening right now. In just a couple hours, I will be back in this studio to host, to cover the convention with Trump versus Hillary. So you can check that on AfterBuzz TV. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Drexel Heard.
You can find me at Hey It's Lay.
You can find me everywhere at Sorrells.
Ladies first.
Oh, Denise _Boutte. Hey.
And you can find me everywhere at Julian Dujarric.
And we will see you all again next week for the Democratic National Convention. Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.